Welcome to Module 8, Post-Market Surveillance. In this module, you will learn about feedback and complaints, analysis of data, competitor device databases, and EUMDR post-market surveillance requirements. Note that there will be a quiz at the end of this module. You must score at least an 80% to pass, and the quiz can be retaken as many times as needed. The requirement for post-market surveillance can be tied back to Clause 8.2 of ISO 1345, also referred to as monitoring and measuring. Post-market surveillance requirements are also defined in 21 CFR Part 822 and Part 820.198. Section 522 of the FD&C Act also provides guidance on post-market surveillance. And 21 CFR Part 822.1 points to this section and gives the FDA the authority to require a manufacturer to conduct post-market surveillance of a Class 2 or 3 device that meets any of the following criteria. First, that its failure would be reasonably likely to have serious adverse health consequences. Second, that it is expected to have significant use in pediatric populations or other special populations. Third, that it is intended to be implanted in the body for more than 1 year. And lastly, it is intended to be a life-sustaining or life-supporting device used outside a device user facility. Organizations are required to gather and monitor information relating to whether customer requirements have been met. This information should be documented in a procedure for the feedback process and should include gathering data from production and post-production activities, as mentioned in Clause 8.2.1. This data should also be an input into the risk management and process improvement processes and documented in the risk management report where relevant. Per European Union Medical Device Regulation, or EUMDR, for post-market surveillance, manufacturers are required to establish a post-market surveillance system for actively and systemically gathering and analyzing relevant data on quality, performance, and safety of a device throughout its entire lifetime, and determining, implementing, and monitoring any preventive and corrective actions. We will get into EUMDR post-market requirements later in this module. The organization must also document procedures for timely complaint handling in accordance with applicable regulatory requirements. Per Clause 8.2.2, the need to initiate corrections or corrective actions should be determined, and if any complaint is not investigated, justification shall be documented. Evaluation of complaints should include a risk assessment. The procedure should also include information for providing notification of complaints that meet criteria for adverse events to regulatory authorities or issuance of advisory notices. Advisory notice is a European term, therefore post-delivery information or withdrawal of a device due to a defect. The FDA refers to these as recall notices. Clause 8.2.4 defines the requirements for auditing. Auditing will be covered in Module 10. Collecting data doesn't do any good unless it's analyzed. Per Clause 8.4, organizations must document procedures to collect and analyze data to demonstrate the suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness of the QMS. This should include statistical techniques where applicable. This clause also references the various checking activities that are sprinkled throughout the standard. That includes feedback, conformity to product requirements, trends of processes and product, suppliers, audits, and service reports if applicable. If analysis shows the QMS is not suitable, adequate, or effective, the input should be used for improvement as required in Clause 8.5 for corrective actions. There are multiple databases that are good to find information relating to the performance of an organization's competitors. First, there is the MAUDE database. The MAUDE database houses medical device reports submitted to the FDA by mandatory reporters such as manufacturers, importers, and device user facilities, and voluntary reporters such as healthcare professionals, patients, and consumers. You can search this database by product code, product name, and/or manufacturer name. The FDA also has multiple places to find safety communication letters and notices. Next, the Health Products Regulatory Agency, or HPRA, has information relating to device safety, performance, and quality that can be provided directly by the device manufacturer or by HPRA. You can type in keywords in the search to identify products similar to the one that you may be looking for information for. Next, Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, or MHRA, has information regarding alerts, recalls, and safety information for drugs and medical devices. With this database, you can also type in keywords in the search to identify products similar to the one that you may be looking for information for. And lastly, there's the Federal Institute for Drugs and Medical Devices, also known as BfArM, which provides information regarding product risks identified. Like the others, you can type in keywords in the search to identify products similar to the one you may be looking for information for. The EU requires the active collection of data throughout the lifetime of a product, as mentioned earlier. The Post-Market Surveillance Plan, or PMS plan, and the Periodic Safety Update Report, or PSUR, and/or the Post-Market Surveillance Report, or PMSR, are required documents and often include complaint and feedback information. Depending on the product classification, a PSUR or PMSR would be chosen. The table below lists the type of reports and the update frequency, depending on the device classification. For Class 1 devices, a PMSR would be chosen and would be updated when necessary. For Class 2A devices, a PSUR would be chosen and would be updated at least every 2 years. For Class 2B and Class 3 devices, a PSUR would be chosen and the updates would be required to be updated annually. As mentioned in the Risk Management module, for EU classification, Class 1 devices are considered low risk, Class 2A devices are medium risk, Class 2B devices are medium to high risk, and Class 3 devices are high risk. A post-market clinical follow-up, or PMCF, plan and report are also new requirements per EU MDR. The MDR requires that every medical device considers the need to perform a PMCF. In the event that there is sufficient clinical evidence, a rationale can be documented within the technical file for a justification of not having a PMCF. Vigilance data is also required for EU MDR. With vigilance data, organizations must report serious incidents and field safety corrective actions. And that brings us to the end of this module. Be sure to review all applicable procedure and form templates that RUC has related to the requirements listed in this module. When preparing documents using these templates for our clients, be sure to customize them to what the organization actually engages in for the products they make. Before moving to the next module, take the Module 8 quiz. You must score at least an 80% to pass, and the quiz can be retaken as many times as needed.